What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. Um, yeah, I've got to. I'm gonna just take this opportunity to apologize to Lin Yoshi, whom we interviewed, and I had to jump off the interview rather rudely because of a work uh, something that came up at work, and yeah, I mean, we had a great conversation with Lin. So, Lin, if you're uh, by chance watching this video. I know I emailed you and apologized to you via email, but again, I just wanted to let you know how much I enjoyed our conversation. You were just such an interesting comic book creator, and I think you and I have like a lot in common in terms of just our appreciation of comic books, both in the manga and in the Western comic book format, and just having, you know, being both Asian American and, um, yeah, I mean, I look at you as an example to kind of, um, my son is Japanese, half Korean, and my wife and I, we want him to be uh, trilingual, uh, knowing English, Japanese, and Korean. But we feel like that's a little bit, I mean, we'd like that, but it's a bit of a stretch. So we're just going to focus on his Japanese fluency. And it's a real challenge. And I think what was really cool in talking to Lynn, again, she talked about how privileged she was in terms of learning Japanese language in Hawaii. I think I'm also in a privileged position to in Seattle, Washington. There are a lot of resources here, schools, things, a community, things to really bolster his Japanese language education. And I think it's going to really start with his connection to pop culture in Japan, just getting into things like manga, anime, just all the pop culture things, whether it's music, whether it's, um, I'm sure as he gets older, it'll be music and films. But yeah, it'll probably start because we're already, he already knows like Anpan Man and Doraemon and these, um, you know, cartoons that Japanese kids have access to. And of course, he knows Spider Man, he knows all the DC. I made sure he knows all the DC superheroes, so he knows Superman. He loves Star Wars already, so I think I don't know. I think I don't have to worry about the geek influence on him. But yeah, it was a great conversation. She's really cool, and again, um, it was really nice to connect with her. And I'm a big fan, and I just really want to hopefully have future opportunities to meet her at the con and get some of her artwork, and we'll definitely be following her career. So that being said, happy Star Wars Day, May the 4th. Uh, I think there's a lot of people doing content today on Star Wars. There's been a lot of things happening on the film front. As you know, Return of the Jedi is back in theaters, and I am actually going to go see that over the next week or so. Um, I think I was in an interaction with Fanboy Prime, and we're kind of conversing, and he had mentioned that Empire Strikes Back is probably like the best, sci-fi movie of all time, and I agree with him. I think Empire is really incredible in terms of story, and just kind of setting up the trilogy. It's like it's the core of the trilogy, right? It's the most emotionally um, involved and beautiful kind of romance that buds between Han and Leia. So I don't disagree. The Empire is definitely a big impact. But when I was talking to him, I think he kind of misunderstood my what I was trying to convey in that the space battle scene in Return of the Jedi, uh, it's unparalleled even today. I think it's the best space battle scene ever. You can make an argument there. So for those of you who watched the Robotech movie, it's called Macros. It's basically Macros was like a 24 episode animation. It was called Robotech in the United States, but they went ahead and made a movie, and this movie had all new animation, really high quality animation, and it was kind of wrapping up the serial in one long 2 hour movie. And animated, that has some of the best space battle scenes I've ever seen um, in terms of animation. But if we're talking about film and, the anyway, Jedi is unrivaled, I think. And they did that with models. I mean, it's really incredible how none of that was like CGI. And so for me, I'm really excited about getting an opportunity to go watch that in theaters, um, and just enjoy it. Because I watched it in theaters when it came out, but I was like, what, 7 or 8 years old at the time. And I just remember being like mesmerized by what I was seeing. But I only saw it once in theaters. Every other time I've seen it, it's been on television, whether it's like through DVDs or through my computer, or it hasn't been in that original format. And you know, I did watch it in theaters, but I didn't really truly appreciate it at the age of 8. I think going in now and watching that space battle scene on the big screen, it'll just take me back, and it'll just, again, I think it'll be such a nice experience to just, with all the sound and the theater sound, the theater experience. I think that'll be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's another movie that's in our local theater that's already been released in Japan, but Slam Dunk, which is the '90s basketball movie, or sorry, basketball manga, um, about Shohoku, this team in Kanagawa, that they kind of, you know, rise up from. I mean, they're a good team, but they weren't ever considered like national championship level team, but they surprised everybody. They beat the heavily sort of favored team in the championship, like the top seeded team in the championship. But they go on to lose a championship. But that's what makes that story so amazing. It's like they pour everything out into like the semifinal game, that they go to the final game with like injuries and whatnot. They lose the final, but in the hearts and minds of their fans and everybody who follows that team, they're the champions, right? They consider themselves, having beaten the best team, they consider themselves a champion. And that's what made that '90s manga and cartoon really, to this day, I think it's my favorite manga of all time, Slam Dunk. And yeah, I've got the comic books right behind that. I'll pull them out. Maybe we'll go over that next time. But that movie, so they remade that movie with all the sort of advanced animation techniques now. They just poured a lot of um, resources and effort into making a really high quality remake of that story. And that's coming to theaters, the animated movie. So looking forward to that as well. That'll be in Japanese language. And so, yeah, there's a lot of kind of cool stuff coming up. I've got another big announcement. So as you know, I had $400 that for my budget for the summer, and I was going to save that to go to Rose City Comic Con and get a commission from Peach. And I was bummed because I only had $400, and I didn't, um, there wasn't much leeway for me to spend and do things this summer with my wife and son gone. Um, so let me backtrack. I'm just going to kind of do a quick synopsis of the situation. So my wife and son are going to Japan, and they're going to be there for 3 months. I am not joining them due to some constraints in terms of resources and finances. Hopefully, I'll go next year. But again, 3 months, they're going to be in Japan. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be very sort of bored, and my real only outlet was to kind of just hunt for comics, right? Just do kind of things I can't really do because of parental obligations and marital obligations on the weekend, just family obligations. I couldn't take advantage of me time and doing all that stuff. So now I have the opportunity. 3 months, $400. But then I learned about Rose City Comic Con, which is in September. And if I want to spend money there and get all that Peach Momoko stuff, I gotta basically just sit on the $400 and wait till September and spend it then. So that was a big kind of letdown. Well, I came up with a good plan. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually work part-time this summer. So along with my day job, I'm going to work extra. And this is something, like I'm going to apply everything I earned this summer on the weekends. And that's a lot of money. Think about 3 months of weekends, pretty much all going to comics, right? I think I'm going to save a chunk of it for, things for my wife and kid. But pretty much all that work I'm going to be doing this summer as a part-time weekend job, that's going to all go to comics. So you're going to get a lot of hauls. You're going to get a lot of big books and hauls this summer, just FYI. Okay. Now, I'm in the process of finalizing what job I'll be doing. I'm going to be interviewing, and I still don't know exactly which job I'm going to be doing. I have a couple opportunities in front of me right now, so I'll just have to see which ones pan out. But once we get that established, I'll start working as early as next month, and everything I earn is going to go right into the comic budget, and we're going to go on some big hunts. We're of course going to continue to save as much as we can for the Peach Momoko event and getting stuff at Rose City Comic Con. But it's going to be a fun summer. I'm going to have to put some work in, but that's what makes, I think, this a lot more rewarding and satisfying, is that it'll keep me busy during the summer, so I won't be missing my family. But then again, all that hard work I put in will be supplemental budget for comics. So that $400 I was like worried about saving till September. Well, that just, I mean, I had the potential to earn way, way, way more and spend all of it this summer and at the con. So I'm very excited about that. Very, very excited. I came up with that plan, that idea, and I'm now just focused on doing that. So a bit of good news. So I thought I'd just take this opportunity to celebrate Star Wars Day and go over my Star Wars comics. I mean, everybody has Star Wars comics. Not, I should say everybody, but most people have Star Wars comics in their collection, especially if you're a Star Wars fan like I am. And so we're going to go over all that. And I'm going to just show off the ones I could kind of dig up. I think these are all my Star Wars comics. I don't believe I have more. If I do have more, I'm not quite certain where they are. I don't have a lot of Star Wars comics, but you know, I definitely have some pretty impressive books. So let's go over them. The first one I'm going to share is when this came out, I FOMO'd like no one's business. Luckily, I didn't pay too much for it, but I did go on eBay and get this right away, and that was um, the John Christopher Tyler uh, action figure variant of Darth Vader. This is Darth Vader number, was it 4, is it? Or maybe, no, sorry, Darth Vader number 1. This is Darth Vader number 1. Again, the action figure variant. And this is I went out and got this when Boba Fett television series came out, and they introduced Black Chrysanthemum, and this is the first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum, and I just thought, man, Black Chrysanthemum is so badass. I gotta have the first appearance, and so I just went out and got this variant cover. Cool variant cover. I thought, it's one of my favorite covers. It actually had this action figure with the vinyl cape and the lightsaber that pulled out. And I just remember like losing that, like the cape ripped or something, and never having the cape on him, so he looked really naked. Darth Vader looked like he was wearing long johns behind this cape. So just remember playing with that toy. That was my first action figure. I had that action figure, and this was before Empire came out, but they released a bunch of action figures right before Empire's release, and I had this Snow Stormtrooper who also had a vinyl cape that ripped off. It was just a lot of losing of the capes and stuff. But anyway, love that cover. This is a Boba Fett comic from the 90s, early 90s. I believe this is his first solo series. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is his first solo series. And Boba Fett is my favorite character in Star Wars. Like every other kid who watched Empire and saw the badass stuff he did in that movie. Yeah, I mean, no disintegrations, and he's just the best. So, I think a lot of people were disappointed in the Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett series, and I don't know. Anytime you unmask a character like that, he got unmasked in Star Wars, though, right? When they revealed Jango Fett, that they were cloning him, and then he just wanted one, sort of, hey, what's up, Vicdu? He just wanted one clone that was not, kind of just not promoted to be like a super soldier, but just sort of an unadulterated clone, if that makes sense. Um, and that's who Boba Fett is. So you know Boba Fett, his origin now as a kid, and you know what he is like. So the fact that they got the same actor to play an aged Boba, it just for me it worked, and uh, I thought it was actually really well done. It was just showing like, hey, this guy's human. He's aging. Um, his his philosophy has changed. He doesn't bounties for him aren't. He kind of looks back on his life and thinks, I lived a I was a bad guy. Why was I such a bad guy? And that kind of turnaround, um, along with just a cool uh, battle sequence at the end of the series. There, I thought it was great. I would hope that they would do more with that series, but who knows? Maybe they'll bring Boba back. But again, it was kind of like a curtain call on Boba Fett, the character, unfortunately, and more of a kind of a transition into Mandalore and um, the culture that created Boba Fett's sort of suit and gear. So not. I'm glad they're bringing the Mandalorian kind of lore to Star Wars now. I think it's a new avenue for. I hate the last trilogy of the movies, so I just really hope they're able to salvage. Looks like Filoni's doing a great job bringing the animated series stuff to live action now, and then that'll get to the films, and you have the subculture, the hardcore fans really latching onto that and being accepting of that. So I don't consider myself a hardcore fan because I haven't watched all the animated like Rebels and all that, but I do appreciate um, what the Mandalorian series has done to revive that aspect, and they're bringing Ahsoka Tano into the mix. They're bringing all kinds of good stuff. So I think Star Wars is in a good place right now. I think you're going to start to see these like television series transition into movies. You're going to get people hyped up about the movies now. So um, I don't know how they're going to resolve the billion-dollar catastrophe that what's his face. I don't even like want to remember his name anymore. Um, the guy that directed the movie, who just took a big dump on all the Star Wars fans with that catastrophe. But yeah, maybe they can do a reset. Like he did do the Star Trek reset where they messed with the timeline, and then they created this new timeline for the Star Trek movies. They could do that with Star Wars, I guess, and just say, "Hey, we're gonna we're gonna erase the trilogy with a time warped reset." Um, that actually might be able to move past the mess they made. But anyway, it looks like they either got to jump forward across that span of what 4 or 5 years in the Star Wars universe, or they've got to like just work on everything leading up to that without the central characters and focus on other storylines like the Mandalorian and whatnot. Um, but we'll see how that works. I think Ahsoka is actually a really good transition character because she's someone connected to Anakin, um, and Yoda and everybody, but she's kind of stayed low through the Luke era, and now that sort of post Return of the Jedi universes sort of coming together in that Mandalorian piece. So who knows? It should be good. I think it. I would, yeah, I would bank on it being good. All right. Well, my comic bro Naman Young, he and I interviewed exactly 1 year ago on Star Wars Day. We interviewed David Nakayama, and that was an amazing interview. Uh, he was an amazing guy. We got to hear, stories about how he got into comic books and how he got just hear what the stuff he was into. Um, and of course, he's a big Jim Lee fan as well. Um, and it was just great connecting with him. And of course, leading up to that interview, I was just like, man, David Nakayama is killing it in comic books. He's one of the best artists in the game right now. And boom, got this nice signed copy of Obi-Wan there. This was a gift gifted to me by my bro Namanyo, and courtesy of David. We got these through his website. And I don't, he's always kind of, whatever he comes out with, he kind of puts up, sells, and he also sells like signed copies and stuff, and they're really reasonably priced for sign as far as signed books goes. So yeah, definitely some money rolls in this summer. We'll be looking to get more stuff off the website because man, he's done some recent stuff that's just incredible. Stuff for Marvel, stuff for DC. So he's just been busy. The next book. So this is a Wizard kind of insert, a Wizard half issue. This came out prior to that 90s comic I showed you. Just love this cover. See Boba Fett in this lineup here. So yeah, this is a book I got off eBay. I thought it was for a pretty good price. Just one of my, I did remember this book as I was collecting. I never got a chance to own it, but I always wanted to, just because of that great cover there. So I was able to get that. Let's see what else we got here. We've got speaking of the Mandalorian, we've got Baby Yoda, Grogu. Yeah, this is the Peach Momoko variant of Grogu, Baby Yoda. I like calling him Baby Yoda. I don't know about you guys. I know he's not Yoda, right? We've established that he's not Yoda. But I still think, like calling him Baby Yoda just is just a nicer, it rolls off the tongue, Baby Yoda, as opposed to Grogu. But anyway, I guess as Grogu becomes more of a, character independent of the Yoda persona, when we start to see his real sort of like mature self talking and all that, that'll sort of, bring home the point that he's not Yoda. But for now, everybody loves a Baby Yoda, right? We never get to see Baby Yoda, so we always kind of love. And speaking of Yoda, we've got the photo cover. Love this photo cover. Just beautiful picture of the Master Yoda, old Yoda, old wise Yoda. This is Yoda number 1, the variant edition photo variant. Now, we've got a bunch of photo variants that we're going to show off, and this is from episode 2, Attack of the Clones. We've got this great Count Dooku, the Emperor, and Jango Fett cover. Love that. Next, we've got Anakin, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan there. Attack of the Clones. This is issue number 4, photo variant. I actually could have picked up all these photo variants. I just didn't have the money to pick them all up. So I just got the ones I thought were the coolest, and these were the coolest. I did pick up all the episode 1 covers though, because I think episode 1 for me was, I mean, you can dissect. Wait, I don't have that one. Where did I put it? I gotta get. Anyway, I guess I won't be able to show that one. I do have the Darth Maul cover on this. I just didn't pull it out. So anyway, I got the episode 1 photo covers here. We got Qui-Gon Jinn there with Obi-Wan. We got young Anakin. We got Queen Amidala. And Natalie Portman. Who isn't a fan of Natalie Portman? Come on. She is just so beautiful and gorgeous. And smart. We've got here Obi-Wan Kenobi photo variant and the Queen Amidala photo variant. So really lucky to get these photo variants because I think, I've never been the kind of want to get like celebrity autographs on a comic book, but this gives me the opportunity. I think I would love to get like Natalie Portman's signature on this, or like I know Hayden Christensen's going to be at SummerCon, so I mean, I guess I can get this book to like Damien and ask him to get that signature for me if if I have the money, first and foremost. But that, I think that would be cool. Unfortunately, you can't get like Frank Oz's signature, or else I would have. But this may be a book we get signed by Peach Momoko. I know she does at New York Comic Con. She was signing like 10 books for free. That would be just like amazing if she did that in Portland, to get 10 free books signed along with the commission art and all that stuff I want to pick up. So really looking forward to Rose City. All right, so that is about all of my Star Wars books, but I'm going to end with 2 guys who we interviewed during the month of May last month, and for all intents and purposes, yeah, Brandon, our next artist is going to be Ariel Jovianos and Sarah Kuhn. They're Asian American artists, and they just put out a book called Lois Lane, A Girl Taking Over. So we're going to interview them, and we're going to get their thoughts on that book, and just talk about Lois Lane, what inspired the book, how they approached it, how they collaborate and work together. It should be a fun time. And that'll be next Thursday, the 11th. I think we're going to go on. I want to say we're going on in like the afternoon Pacific time. I'll have to check. I believe so, afternoon Pacific time. or maybe the morning. It's either the morning or afternoon. But anyway, there'll be notifications. Follow both me and Namanhyang, and you'll get a notification. We'll put out sort of an announcement when we're about to go live. So please check that out. All right, so going back to last year's AAPI Heritage Month, again, we got David Nakayama on, and we also got John Boy Myers, two guys who, again, I think when you talk about top talents in the industry, those two guys just understand like pop culture. They understand what comic book fans want, and they're putting out amazing work. And they're also just very busy. So, like, we're going to try to get them on this month, but if their schedules don't work out and we don't get them on in May, we'll get them on at some point, hopefully. Because I know they're, like, right now, just knee deep in work, drawing and doing commissions and getting ready for shows and all that. So if they can take some time and interview with us, that's wonderful. We do want to, reconnect with them and just see how they're doing. But again, if they don't have the time, we're fine with that too. At some point, we'll connect with them. So, but the one great thing about last year is they had put out some really cool Star Wars stuff right around Star Wars Day. And John Boy put out this amazing cover here, Boba Fett. And, if you watch that interview, he's explaining that this is a post-disintegration scene. He's just disintegrated somebody, and he's walking through their ashes. So, love that cover there. You got the signature book there. And then, David Nakayama's Boba Fett. Man, look at that version cover there. Just absolutely beautiful. This is on Tatooine, I'm assuming, right? Because of the sun's there. But just beautiful there as well. Two covers of a character I love, by two Asian American artists who are just such cool guys. And yeah, they're the best. So we have a lot of great interviews left this month. So again, stay tuned for those. They're coming up. All right, now we're going to get to my comic book haul. The comic book haul is rather modest. I've got 6 books. We spent $650 on this haul. And the reason I got these books was because, again, I made the decision I'm going to be working this summer part-time, specifically working to build a comic book budget. So the little money I did have saved up, I have $400 that's coming. Right? I don't actually have access to $400. When my wife leaves for Japan, she's going to give me the $400 cash. So we have $400. We're going to work, build that. And so in my mind, I have kind of more resources. So I had the little money I had saved up. I've got, basically have $10 this month, along with like $5 from last month. I got about $15 to pick up books. And again, I'm not looking to spend all that $15. I'm just, when I'm out, it gives me something to look for and hunt. And that's pretty much what we did. We went to Half Price Books. We went to my local LCS, Mill Geek Comics, and we just picked up a few books because we're hunting, we picked up a few books, and um, I normally don't want to pick up books these days, or at least not things I like. I don't want to spend like $6 on like. I would rather pick up sort of the higher priority books, save money and pick up the higher priority books. But these are all actually really good high priority books that I couldn't just leave. Like, yeah, I mean, they kind of passed my they kind of passed my eye test in terms of like this is a book I want in the collection, and the fact that I got them for so cheap makes it even better because again, I probably would have picked these books up at some point. Could have been for a higher price. I definitely would have paid at least for some of them a higher price, but again, getting them for the price that we did, 6 books for $6.50, that works out to what, $1.10 per book, somewhere around there. I'm really, really pleased with this book. So, with this haul. So yeah, I paid about $1, a little over $1 for these books. And shout out to Matt, Comics by the Bay at Matt. He did a great haul video where I guess he bought a collection and he got his books for like $1, a little over $1 as well. And he had some bangers, and I mean, he had like a slab that he picked up for $1, 9.8. He had a bunch of cool Uncanny X-Men books, and just a bunch of cool Spider-Man books. It was a really awesome haul, and he had like a big stack, which made it even better. Like when you get a big stack for about $1 each, that's just a lot of value that you're bringing into the collection. So I was happy for Matt. Shout out to you, man. Go follow Comics by the Bay if you're not. He's just I really want to meet him in person at some point because I just think he's such a cool guy, really funny dude. So, and man, we're on the same wavelength in terms of comic book collecting. So really nice to see. All right, so what books did I pick up? This is a Jim Lee heavy haul. And so I'm really proud of that fact. I'm proud there's a Jim Lee heavy haul. And we did pick up doubles. So I just picked up more of what I already had in the collection. And that's always sort of a little bit of a letdown. I guess. But again, for the prices we picked them up at, I don't feel bad about it at all. If I can pick up these books at that price, I'll continue to do it, especially for the doubles that I did pick up. Okay, so the first book we picked up is Legends of the DC Universe: Crisis on Infinite Earths, and this is a Marv Wolfman story. And I haven't read it, but apparently this is the first appearance of the Black Superman. This is an alternative sort of DC universe, and there's like it's like you have your black versions of Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. I just thought, wow, that's awesome. So for me, it was just like picking it up for 50 cents. I got this for 50 cents. I thought, why not? It's a key book. Sounds like a cool story. Again, some cool first appearances. We all want to see like black versions, Asian versions of superhero characters, right? Just to kind of like, I would love to see that, more of that. But of course, people kind of they have strong opinions about it. They can kind of get upset when people do that. So I think people should just chill out, not get so upset. Uh, you know, your favorite characters. I understand you have them in your head as a certain way, but come on. We live in a day and age. This is all fiction, so if they want to make multiracial or interracial or uh, characters, just what's wrong with that? They want to change the sexual orientation of characters. That's cool. I think people just need to relax and um, it's these are comic books. They're not like real people. So people want to write their characters in a certain way. Let them do it. Um, the next book we picked up is Deathmate Black. Now, as you remember, I picked up a Deathmate Black at Jeff's for 25 cents. This is actually the 25-cent copy. And what you won't really see, I guess if you go up close, you can kind of see, like, um, there's like corner dings here, right? There's like a micro crease right there. This isn't the best. I mean, I would put the grade at around a 6.5, maybe a 7 or 6.5. Definitely not like high grade. It's a mid grade copy. Um, and this is a really key book because it's the first appearance of Gen 13. So it's like a book. When I got it for 25 cents, I was like, yeah, I got it. It's in my collection. Boom. But I did want to get like a better copy, and boom, I got like a near mint copy. Yeah, this is near mint. This is a near mint copy. Got it for half a cover at Half Price Books. So paid about $2.50 for this book. Beautiful Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee collab cover. So works for me. These are two of my favorite artists. And when they collab on a beautiful cover like that with Warblade, uh, Exo Man of War, Mongo, and who's this character? Oh, I know his name, but anyway, it'll come to me. But anyway, there's a great '90s cover. Great crossover between Valiant and Image characters. Really sort of the big crossover event of the '90s, right? People were collecting, were like, "Oh man, Deathmate is gonna just be so cool." They were marketing the crap out of this, and it didn't go anywhere because it wasn't it wasn't really well put together. Um, but anyway, that cover rocks. I will. There's a gold version of this that I want to try to get. Um, Maybe we'll pick that up this summer, but it's quite a bit more money, but I don't mind picking that one up. But for now, I'll pick up more of these blacks. If I can get them for like $1, $2. If I can get them under the cover price, which is $5, I will do that. But glad I could do that. Okay, so this next book, I was at Jeff's. I'm sorry, not Jeff's. I was at No Geek Comics. So I picked. You saw this earlier book here. This was 50 cents, right? I went to No Geek, looking through the 50-cent bins, and I found two Wildcat #1s. This is the first one. This is the second one. They're high grade copies, 50 cents each, which to me is like cha-ching bargain because That's one thing we haven't really mentioned, and I'm going to mention it now. Congrats to Jim Lee. We're trying to bring Jim Lee onto the Asian American Pacific Islander, our interview series, Meet the Artist. Naman Hyung and I, when we first conceptualized Meet the artist we had in mind of getting on the show, and I vividly remember in our discussion, we're like, we got to make a pitch to Jim Lee. We got to bring him on the show. How awesome would it be if we got Jim Lee on the show? Well, that got a little harder because this week Jim Lee was promoted to president of DC Comics. Yes, president. He is now the head honcho at DC. He is calling the shots on the comic side. And DC Comics, again, with the Warner Brothers DC collaboration on the studio side, it's like Warner Brothers can't really do much without DC Comics, uh, giving an okay to the use of characters and everything. DC Comics has to pretty much authorize anything done in the movies, give the sort of stamp of approval, right? And what's interesting about the promotion to president is now you're going to see Jim Lee and James Gunn really be able to, like, if James comes to Jim and says, this is kind of what I'm envisioning, and then Jim can probably give his feedback, but the two guys are going to really be thoughtful about how to approach. You don't think that was a good move? Why not, fanboy? What's going on? You want Jim Lee to stay in comic books, that's why, right? He's still gonna do like covers, and he's gonna look. He's in charge of the comic book business. He's not gonna be so involved in the movies. This president move is really just for him to bring his voice, have his vision, along with because he's been working in the trenches. You don't want some like stiff, like bored dude, like studio exec bored guy just bringing in, like worried about making all the time. Jim's gonna like he understands the business. He understands what fans want. He's had enough engagement with fans. He understands what they want. So I'm happy that he's there calling the shots. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how the movies and everything, especially I think where Jim's impact will be, it won't be felt in movies. It'll be felt in the comic books. So I would say don't worry too much. I think the comic book world is in good hands under Jim's watch. So anyway, I picked up 2 copies of Wildcats for 50 cents. I've been specking on this. I think we're going to see Wildcats at some point in movies or a series or something, but they're going to be more integrated into the DC universe at some point. And what leads me to believe that now more than ever is this move with Jim coming into the ranks. Jim's the one who created all this Wildstorm property. Wildstorm is there. Wildstorm's been selling. They've kind of been running parallel to DC. You've seen a few instances where Superman comes in, or like a Mr. Majestic comes in, and they have a intertwining, integrated story. But in terms of the whole universes, these characters being in one world, we haven't seen that yet. And I think it was Jim. Yeah, Jim. Hey, I haven't been reading DC Comics lately. If it's disappointing, that's unfortunate. But I don't know. When I look at Marvel art versus DC art and I look at the interiors, I know from an art perspective, I prefer the stuff in DC because it's consistent. You have the cover artist doing the interiors. You look at Marvel, you have the cover artist, and then you have somebody else doing the interiors. So I don't know. For me, I'd rather have consistency. Um, like, well, I'm old school like that. I'd rather just have like quality on the cover and on the interior. And I think that's what you're getting with DC. Now, I can't speak from the side aspect, but I can speak from the art aspect. I think DC's killing Marvel in terms of art quality. Although there are certain titles where Marvel puts a lot of stock into the interior work on their sort of their key titles, right? Their Spider-Mans and whatnot. So, um, but I think DC consistently across the board, you see that. Um, yeah. Hopefully, we see more of that. I think it's good because we've all been kind of stuck in this like super friends like DC characters have been branded and we haven't been able to break free of that mold. Like I think what Zack Snyder got caught up in is like he had to use these characters, these legacy characters, Darkseid, the Justice League characters, and they couldn't really go beyond that. So when they even though like Cyborg is not really known to most audience members. They're not going to know Cyborg, right? When you introduce a guy like that to comic book fans already, it's like, yeah, I've been there, done that. It just didn't feel like that they were moving in a really bold, innovative direction. But I think with Wildstorm, man, that's just gonna if they if they bring Wildstorm characters into the mix, it's gonna like just I think cause such a anyway. We'll just have to see how it goes. I can see a lot of people actually like being a backlash of it because, mind you, I have a different perspective because I grew up in the '90s. I grew up being introduced to these characters, right? And so for me to see them come into larger pop culture and become recognized, that for me is exciting. Whereas, like, if they bring in somebody like, not to say Booster Gold isn't worthy, but, and I'm excited about that too. Booster Gold coming into DC Universes, I think is a great, is a great move. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that Booster Gold wasn't introduced to me. Actually, he was introduced during my generation. I take that back. Like, what's a character I'm thinking of? Like, if it's a character that's a legacy character, even though we haven't seen him or her, to bring somebody in that I didn't see evolve, like introduced and evolve during my time, it's hard to connect with that. Okay, cool. So again, I haven't read a lot of the post DC acquisition Wildstorm stuff, but I know, you know, all of those Wildstorm artists that came over to DC, man, did DC get a lot of like stock talent from that. Um, so for me, that acquisition made a lot of sense, right? Because you just got all this like creative talent now working on books and stuff for you. Like Dustin Nguyen, he's still doing mostly DC stuff. So it's kind of cool to see all these Wildstorm artists continuing to do work with their characters and their contributions from the Wildstorm era. Um, but anyway, so my whole point is like I now have 4 copies of Wildcats #1. I have 4 copies now. They're all high grade copies, and I will continue to pick, especially if they're 50 cents. If they're 50 cents, I'll pick this up all day long because to me this represents really Jim Lee's best work. Because he's did the entire thing. It's literally just Jim Lee's Wildcats, right? Did this entire book. He created all the characters, created the story. It went on to be like a big franchise thing, and sort of the cornerstone or the head. I guess you could say it was the focal piece of the Wildstorm acquisition. So anyway, congratulations to Jim Lee. He's president now, whether you like it or not. He's the president. And all right, dude. See you later, man. Hey, man. We're close in fantasy. It's going to be down to the wire, but we'll see who wins. But good luck. So yeah, I'm specking on Wildcats hardcore. Wildcats, specifically Wildcats. I mean, there's all this other Wildstorm. You know, James Gunn kind of did this like he announced the Authority. I may do Friday, Saturday. You wanna jump on and do a set together? I'm down with that. Friday night or Saturday night. Let me know, man. Message me. Have fun at work. All right, so yeah, I'm just specking on Wildcats. I think I've made that known now. Like you go back and watch all my videos from the James Gunn announcement. When he made the announcement, the Authority and all these people coming, that to me just was like, I was like, okay, he's like transitioning to the Wildcats, right? I hope you saw that, right? Like, you don't necessarily, if you want to like, if you have something in your back pocket that you know is going to be like, could be potentially like the winning hand for whatever you're trying to bring, you don't want to reveal that, right? You don't want to reveal, hey, like we're going to introduce this character and all that. What you do is, if you're smart, like Marvel and all these, like you have these like key pieces, fans are going to like be excited about, that fans already have a good knowledge of, and who've been with us for the larger part of the 90s decade, right? And this is a strategic, because if this, I've explained this in earlier videos, but if the Wildcats, if you can successfully bring them and have mass appeal, bring the characters and they have mass appeal. Now you have this X-Men like, you're no longer relying on the Teen Titans. You have this X-Men like team with cool character designs and backgrounds, and they just look cool, right? But you have this like new fresh team integrated with the legacy characters of DC, and you can build so much with these like old and new building blocks, right? And that's the piece that James Gunn has, I think, in his back pocket. He's like, I'm going to introduce the Authority, I'm going to make it ultra violent, people are going to love it, and then bam, going to shoot in like a grifter appearance, shoot in a zealot reference or something along those lines, and boom, you got instant integration, instant fan buy-in. And I think you know, again, these are my theories. Nothing's been confirmed, but I see that as a real viable option for Jim and James. Jim and Jim, so they're both Jimmies for the Jimmies. Um, which brings me to my next book. All right, how many of you guys had this? So I had this book. I had most of these books in my collection growing up. Um, now I told you I had all these comics I lost from like moves and stuff. Like some boxes went missing. So there's a big chunk of my collection that is just no longer a part of my collection. I actually threw out a lot of my old image books. The stuff that I mean, we're talking like garbage image books. I just throw that out. I'm sure there was like a couple of good stuff in there, like Adam Hughes Ghost #1. I had a bunch of issues of that. Threw those out. I had some of the She Sideblade stuff, some of the Lady Death stuff. I just threw all that '90s garbage out, and looking back, I kind of wish I had it because it's kind of again just nostalgia, right? To it was really graphic, the '90s stuff, right? A lot of it was really like graphic in terms of violence and sexual content, um, but it was great. This specific book, I remember buying this and reading it and being like, awesome, Grifter. This is Grifter's first solo series. It's just a one shot, and this is beautiful Jim Lee cover there. And I don't recall the story. I just remember it was like kind of like a backstory of the Grifter, just to give him more depth. And yeah, um, picked this up for 50 cents. And just when I ran across it, I was like, oh man, it was like I had to get it. I had to get it. Look at that cover, man. It's Jim Lee, classic Jim Lee right there. If you're a Jim Lee fan, this is like gold. Okay, this is like gold for a Jim Lee fan. It's like finding gold. Um, the one shot. I'm sure there are a gajillion copies of this, and it's probably not worth much. But to a Jim Lee fan who was collecting during, like growing up collecting Jim, basically, this is doesn't get better than this. And what's cool is like, um, so along with this book, there was this like, well, I mean, I think I'll deal with that in another video. Anyway, we'll stick with this. So the last book I'm going to show off is a book I've been wanting to add for a very, very long time. As you know, I have pretty much all the Batman Hush standard run issues. The only thing I'm missing is the gatefold of 619. I have the villains gatefold. I have just a standard 619. I have the second print variant of 619, but I'm missing the gatefold. And I can pick that up at any time at Jeff's. It's just sitting there at Jeff's. It's just it's priced a little bit more than I want to pay, but again, it's reasonable. it's there whenever I want it. So not a big rush to get it. I was hoping I would could pick it up like uh, for for less. Um, but this book is a little bit. It's a weird. So what this is actually this is it's kind of like a second print, but it's a second print combined of 608, 609. So it's like a second print, but they consolidate two issues into one, and they slap a new cover on it, Jim Lee cover on it, and it's just instantly becomes like like probably one of the like key pieces in this entire run. That's this Hush double feature. This is the first appearance of Hush. It's also the first issue in the run. So 608, 609, double feature, great cover there. Love it. And what's great about this is when I picked it up, there was this nice little postcard, 90s nostalgia postcard in the back of it as well, of Batman and Azrael from 1994. So just a lot of good like nostalgia here on this. Yeah, I picked this up for half cover, so this was what, $2? Picked it up for $2, and man, this is definitely the book of the haul. The book of the haul, because it's a book I've been just when you go online to buy this book is like $20 minimum, and there's not a, I mean, I think there's like 2,500 copies that were ordered of this, 27. So this is like a rare book from a great run. Got key first appearances, just like a sort of like a interesting second print of the first two issues in the run. So it's just a cool format, cool cover. Love this piece. So that is my haul. Let me know what you think of the haul. Again, tune in this month. Now, my name Karen and I are celebrating AAPI Heritage Month with a bunch of cool creators and comic book collectors, all of Asian descent, and again, happy Star Wars Day. Again, I'm going to be working part-time this summer, so I'm going to have a lot of money to spend on comics this summer. Gonna save a lot of it for Rose City Comic Con in the fall. There's just a lot of things that are gonna, like, with the part-time work and this influx of funds, I feel like I'll have things to do this summer. I'll be busy working with the extra money I have, whatever free time I have. I'll be able to go to my local comic book shops, shop online, and just do sort of like haul videos like this throughout the summer. So look out for that. Just a lot of real sort of positive, exciting things on the horizon. So really glad that that's that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hey, what's up? What's up, Bill? Yeah, so you're still watching. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And go watch Return of the Jedi in the theaters and have fun this summer, man. The summer of 23. It's the raging 20s, post-COVID era. Have fun this summer. Stay safe. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.